Well, here's a little short video that might help you if you need a nudge in MOP WM2 in the Waves unit. So you're going to run across a question like this, which gives you a lot of information, and they ask you for 4 important properties about a particular wave: the wavelength, period, frequency, and amplitude. And they give you an important hint that a lot of people just ignore, and that is to begin with a diagram. So what I'm going to suggest is that you just draw a simple model of a transverse wave. You can picture this like a bunch of waves in the ocean, which is why I drew it blue, because everybody knows that water is blue. And then draw the boats A and B, and like me, you don't have to be an artist, but make sure you notice what they describe about the boats, because sometimes there's going to be a wave crest in between, and other times there aren't. For example, this says when boat A is at its peak, boat B is at its low point. So we could put boat A right here. That's all you have to draw. And then boat B has to be at a low point. Well, there's lots of low points next to boat A, but notice it says there are never any wave crests in between. So that means boat B would be pretty close to boat A. So we're going to put it right there. So now let's see what we know about this if we think about wave properties. They're going to first ask about the wavelength. And you should know that the wavelength is the distance between 2 adjacent crests or 2 adjacent troughs. So we would draw a wavelength about that far. But notice that's not how far apart the boats are. 20 meters is how far apart the boats are. So if 20 meters is between A and B, we need another 20 meters to get all the way over to the next wave crest. And that's how we would get the wavelength. Now the period, you have to know the definition of a period. Definition described in the tutorial is the amount of time for one complete wave to be created, or you could say it for one complete wave to go by something that's fixed in place. So it says very specifically that one complete cycle takes 10 seconds. So that's a not so cryptic way of describing the period. So that's the second number. The frequency is very easy once you know the period, because there's an important relationship between frequency and period. I'm going to squeeze it here above my wave picture. The period and frequency are inverses of each other. So we could write it this way, that the frequency is 1 over the period. I use capital T for the symbol for period. So you just take the inverse of your period and you're going to get the frequency. So that's how we get that. And then the last thing they ask for is the amplitude. Notice that it says the vertical distance between boat A and boat B at their extreme is 8 meters. So I'm going to draw this in a different color. Let's try green. That way we can distinguish from the vertical and horizontal. So this distance here is described as 8 meters. But that is not an amplitude, although it's related to an amplitude. The amplitude is described as the height of a crest above what we usually call the equilibrium position, or where the water would be if there were no wave passing through. So I'm just going to put a dash, a little line through here. That's what the water level would look like if there was no waves passing through. So A to B is 8 meters, but this amplitude is only half of that. So that little arrow there that I just drew would describe an amplitude, or you could describe it as from that dashed green line down to the bottom of a crest, or at the bottom of a trough rather, where boat B rests. So what they've described here is actually twice an amplitude. So that's how you get that number. So if you put all those numbers together, then hopefully one of these will be the choice, or of course you have option I, which is none of these. So hopefully that gives you a little nudge on this question, or maybe a question like it in WM2. And if you have more questions, just get a hold of me or come see me in the classroom.